What brand new Marvel TV series spoiler review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. Today, I am breaking down in spoiler fashion the first two episodes of the new Disney Plus Marvel show, Daredevil Born Again. Give my general spoiler thoughts, how I'm excited, my thoughts. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie and TV show reviews, as well as other theater reactions, movie rankings, and every Monday, a box office breakdown show. So like any one of those things, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again? Is this your entry into the Daredevil franchise, or are you a massive fan of the Netflix Marvel shows? Let me know in the comments section down below and your thoughts on these first two episodes. Also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. It takes 2 seconds out of your time. Down below the thumbs up button is the like button, helps YouTube's algorithm out, recommend this video to more people. So heading in, I was insanely pumped for the show. I was someone who watched Daredevil on Netflix when it hit. I wasn't a massive fan. I really was a Daredevil and Punisher person. I had some fun, decent fun with Luke Cage, but I was not a fan of the Jessica Jones or Iron Fist show. And the Defender show itself didn't really get me. So it was honestly the singular shows, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Punisher, I'd say shows that I did really enjoy. Daredevil's on a whole other level from anything, but I still enjoyed Punisher and Luke Cage. And when Daredevil came back in No Way Home, I was like the first person in my sold out theater to really cheer. This was in LA, and clap when Daredevil showed up in No Way Home. I was like, this is really cool that Charlie Cox is here. And then D'Onofrio showing up in Hawkeye a week before No Way Home came out. So I was like, oh my God, they're bringing the Daredevil franchise to the MCU, but it was a confusing time. And before I get into this breakdown, this show's gone through a lot of different iterations, basically. And that's why I was nervous, I would say a couple years ago. Now, no longer am I nervous because the show was announced like 4 years ago, and then they shot 6 episodes in 2022, and then they were halted by the writer's strike and different creative team, different cast. The original Daredevil cast was not involved outside of Charlie Cox and D'Onofrio. They even recast Vanessa on the original iteration of this series. And and then Feige and the rest of Marvel came together, didn't like the direction of the show. It was originally pitched as an 18 episode first season. The changes were they brought back a lot of the original cast, most of the original cast, as well as a lot of the stunt coordinators, original screenwriters, original team behind the Netflix series came back as well. And they're doing two 9 episode seasons. And they're already filming season 2 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So the trailers got me excited. The reviews were really strong. I was ready for real Daredevil after Charlie Cox appeared in She-Hulk. Didn't really love that appearance for that iteration of Daredevil. I was ready for this iteration of Daredevil. And I'm happy to say that I adored these first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again. This feels like the Netflix Daredevil continuation. I also think watching the show as someone who did watch all of the Daredevil seasons and every appearance that Matt Murdock's been as Charlie Cox, they did a really good job both giving you some inside nuggets if you are someone who watches the Daredevil Netflix show. But I also think it does a good job, even if you haven't watched Daredevil on Netflix, they hint and they talk about some of these relationships. I don't think this was a must-have. You have to watch the first 3 seasons of Daredevil to get this show. Does it help? I think it more than helps if you did. But I didn't feel myself, even someone who watched Daredevil, that they were going to lose many people if they hadn't watched the Daredevil show. Maybe with like the bullseye element of it in the first episode, the fact that he kills. Again, this is a full spoiler review, guys. So just want to say, if you haven't seen these first 2 episodes, I am going full spoiler. And let's just get into these episodes. I'm not going to break down each thing. I'll go through some major things. But I did love these first two episodes. Not a lot of action, seems like one or two. Really enjoyed kind of the long takes style that they brought back from the Netflix series. But you're kind of feeling comfortable in that first episode because you're back with Charlie, Foggy, and Karen. And obviously the Nelson Murdock Page firm, which was set towards the end of season 3 of Daredevil. They're all hanging out. It feels like we're right back where we were. And then obviously Foggy gets that call, and that is where the return of Bullseye happens. And Bullseye kills Foggy. Like 10 minutes into this season, Foggy is killed. And it is really shocking. Now, again, it makes sense because, again, those characters were not in the original interpretation, not in the original part of the show. And obviously, when they rewrote and changed the entire show, they brought back in Foggy and Karen. But huge, like emotional moment right at the get-go. And obviously, and it's such a big deal that Matt drops being Daredevil for at least a year, and he loses his relationship with Karen. It is a really emotional, serious, depressing start to the show. And Matt obviously seems to be doing kind of better a year later. But he really can't and I love that scene where he's talking to Karen and he's like, I can't believe one tragedy can break up so many things. And he meant his friendship with Karen, because it sounded like Karen reached out to him first towards right after Foggy died. He didn't respond. And then months later, Matt reached back out to Karen and she didn't respond. And it looked like she moved to San Francisco, and he is still staying in New York with Kirsten. But it's not great to see that Matt and Karen are in that, but it does happen to people. I think a lot of people are going to relate to when tragedies happen. If it's a family or a friend, I can certainly relate to this. If someone dies close to me, it has shockingly damaged relationships, and you don't hear from people for a while. And obviously, each death like that hurts people in different ways. And I found it to be extremely real and relatable where the friendship has gone for Matt and Karen. Not that they'll never be back and never be friends again, but people need time and handle things very differently. I've learned that the hard way recently. So I could certainly relate to that part of the show. The big overlying thing also is Wilson Fisk. Vincent D'Onofrio, who is fantastic as always in this show as Wilson Fisk. And he is being elected mayor for New York. And obviously, Matt is not happy with that. And I don't want to get political at all here on the channel. I have kept politics completely away from the channel. But I do think that this show, and especially with the mayorship of Fisk, is pulling a lot of things from, let's just say, real-time politics. And the fact that no matter, people don't need the cleanest sheet, as it pertains to if they've done bad things, to pick someone to be the mayor or be the president. I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying out loud what the show is really, in my opinion, doing really well, drawing parallels to our society, which is, our president, like him or not, does not have a clean sheet and is technically a known criminal. And then you have someone like Fisk, who people know in this show killed people, was in prison, and people don't care. If they believe their policies are for them and they believe that that one person's ideologies fits theirs, no matter what they've done, they will vote for them. And I thought that the parallels between the two are very good. Again, I don't want to bring politics. I don't want to bring that here. I just want to draw that. I thought the similarities between a way we elect people, even if they don't have the cleanest of sheets, and the way this show does it for Fisk, I found really compelling. And obviously it's real because we have done it ourselves. So I really enjoyed the parallels. But this conversation behind me with Fisk and Murdoch was great. Fisk is obviously he wants no more vigilantes, none. And Murdoch's like, I am no longer Daredevil. You don't have to worry about me. Again, Matt takes on this case in episode 2 because at the end of episode 1, Fisk gets elected, and him and Vanessa are just not seeing eye to eye, because obviously Fisk, during the time of the Echo series, and Hawkeye at least, disappeared from Vanessa's life. Post Daredevil season 3 and up till this point. So they're now on the same page, and obviously Fisk is desperate for his wife's approval and for his wife to be back in the fold in his life. Episode 2 is the case for White Tiger's case. who's played by an actor who sadly passed away in late 2023, if I'm not mistaken, which is very sad because the performer did a very good job. Kamar De playing Hector Ayala, who's the White Tiger. Pretty brutal death for one of those cops. He kind of gets uh, falls into that subway going by, and then you realize they're actually cops. And Matt obviously can tell they did. The show does a really good job as well of when Matt can sense, not sense, but hear things. His abilities are shown really cool in the show where he stops. The camera work is really strong. And obviously, Matt can tell if someone's lying or not. You can feel the heartbeat every time he's trying to listen to someone. He can tell if someone's lying or not. But Matt obviously has he can't just say this guy's telling the truth and people are going to believe him. He has to prove it in facts as he's trying to track down answers in episode 2. And that leads him to his big last action set piece in episode 2, where these cops beat him up after they try to find the one guy who survived the train incident. And Matt gets him out, but he gets his ass kicked like that. That's enough. Then he kills the two. Looks like he at least killed the first cop who was attacking him. So see how Matt gets out of that in episode 3. But finally has the eyewitness that he needs to help get Victor out of prison. Sorry, Hector out of prison. And in this episode, also, Wilson is having issues with the commissioner of the police, where the commissioner of police says, I am resigning, and all these cops are coming with me. Honestly, he needs the cops, especially if there's no more vigilantes in his regime. And that's when he basically said he does I'm from Philly, so it's cool that he like King of Prussia referenced and Philadelphia things referenced, but he basically threatens someone in the commissioner's family, and then the commissioner stays on and says, this will be your worst nightmare, keeping me on. So Fisk trying to keep that commissioner who, if he leaves, a lot of cops will leave. And the person told him, if you lose the cops, you lose New York. So we have that, and then we have the new Heather, who is now Matt's love interest for the season, who Matt's business partner, Kirsten, set him up with, who's a therapist. She is now the new therapist for Wilson and Vanessa. And we have to see if she ever tells Matt this, because obviously Matt says they have some history together, but didn't really go into specifics when she asked. So we shall see. But overall, guys, I think we're off to a fantastic start. The action scenes are great. This already feels like the best technically MCU show so far on Disney Plus. The level is the bar is set really high now. After this first episode, there was a lot of emotion. There were some laughs, great action scenes, brutal. There was some cursing. This does feel like a good follow-up, perfect follow-up to the Daredevil show. It doesn't feel like a Disney-fied version of what people loved on Netflix. So I am excited to be covering this show on a weekly basis. So what are your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.